Hi, hello there and welcome back to Formula Amateur, where today we'll be discussing everything that went down in Bahrain for the second and final week of testing. We'll be discussing the lap times, we'll be discussing the laps, we'll be discussing the issues that teams have had, we'll be talking about some surprising things as well. So if you're excited to find out how things are shaping up right before the season starts in 2 weeks, then check out the rest of this episode. Now let's get into it. So let's start with the takeaways, and the first and probably the biggest one is Ferrari have figured something out. One of their rear wings spins to reduce drag. Last time this happened was in Formula 3000, which then after a while changed its name to GP2 and now is known as Formula 2. However, back then the team who ran such a wing were disqualified after finishing second, so I don't know what this might say, but what we have to remember is that times have changed since then. So this was like early 2000s that this happened last time, and the rules have changed, and this is another formula, but overall Ferrari have been at the tippy top quite a lot of the time in the standings for the entire week, and they also didn't have a bad time last week, so they are really improving on what was a terrible year for them last year. And the second point is that not only is the Ferrari engine doing well for Ferrari, but Haas as their customer team is also doing well. They are still best of the rest, knocking laps out like they have infinite tyres. They were once spotted also doing a wet race simulation with Ocon, which initially baffled the commentators because it did look a bit weird driving intermediate tyres which are designed for a wet race that isn't too wet to bring out the wet tyres, aka the red flags. They actually managed to do a wet race in the dry, a wet race simulation in the dry, and to managed to get decent times out of that. It didn't last too long because they probably don't want to just completely burn up the rubber, but they were the only team from what I could see that actually did an intermediate tyre test. And the third thing is, although topping a morning session, Verstappen has never topped a single full day in Bahrain. So over the 6 days that they were testing in Bahrain, he never was at the top of the standings. It was always either a Ferrari, a McLaren, or a Mercedes, a driver that was always at the tippy top, which is quite surprising that he never managed to get as much performance. But we do have to understand that they're getting used to the new engine, they're getting used to new regs, and I'm sure he will prove everyone wrong quite soon enough because he is a machine. And then the fourth takeaway is that Aston Martin are looking even more bleak than they did before. Breaking down on Thursday, cutting Fernando Alonso's day short, he looked just as depressed as when he found out that he lost his title chances in 2012. It also took a very long time to actually get the car off track, even though it was on the side of the track, but for safety reasons nobody chose to run a car during a yellow flag, but initially it was a red flag, and so it took a while for the car to actually be moved out of the way, and then they didn't run for the rest of the day on Thursday, and things only got worse where on Friday they only ran for 6 laps with Lance Stroll. So they said that they are finishing their testing program early, but if you can only run 6 bode well, but I'm sure they'll figure something out eventually. But it does look like the beginning of the season may be a bit rough on them. And in the final takeaway is that Cadillac and Audi are more impressive than people are giving them credit for. They're not at the complete bottom. Cadillac, of course, are probably the ones that we would expect to struggle the most because they have not been a team before in Formula One. Completely new team. They, new regs as well. So there's at least that advantage of at least nobody is fully confident of things at the moment. But the fact that they are able to put in a lot more laps than Aston Martin are, it's pretty good for them. And Audi are also in the mix. They are not far behind Haas, actually, especially that it's their first time as also an engine supplier, their own engine supplier, because when they were Sauber they run the Ferrari engine. Now they have their own engine. It does look good for them as well. Hülkenberg and Bortoleto are always in the top 10 there, so that's always good to see that the team is on the up very early on. But what will that mean for actual races? Well, we'll have to see when the season starts, so we'll see when we get there. So let's start off with the first day of the second week, and the only driver who did not take part was Max Verstappen, so he did not register a lap count or a lap time. But in 21st position was Sergio Perez with 24 laps and a time of 1 minute 38 seconds 191. Then in 20th it was Valtteri Bottas with 35 laps and a time of 1 minute 36 seconds 798. In 19th it was Arvid Lindblad with 75 laps, 1 minute 36 seconds 769. In 18th it was Nico Hülkenberg with 49 laps, 1 minute 36 seconds 741. In 17th it was Fernando Alonso with 28 laps and 1 minute 36 seconds 536. In 16th position it was Esteban Ocon with 65 laps, 1 minute 36 seconds 418. In 15th it was Lance Stroll with 26 laps, 1 minute 35 seconds 974. In 14th it was Pierre Gasly with 61 laps, 1 minute 35 seconds 898. In 13th position was Oliver Behrman with 42 laps and a time of 1 minute 35 seconds 778. In 12th it was Liam Lawson with 61 laps and a time of 1 minute 35 seconds 753. In 11th it was Alex Albon with 55 laps, 1 minute 35 seconds 690. In 10th position it was Gabriel Bortoleto with 71 laps and a time of 1 minute 35 seconds and 263. In 9th position it was Franco Colapinto with 60 laps, 1 minute 35 seconds 254. In 8th it was Carlos Sainz with 55 laps, 1 minute 35 seconds 113. In 7th position it was Lewis Hamilton with 44 laps, 1 minute 34 seconds 299. In 6th position it was Isaac Hadjar with 66 laps, 1 minute 34 seconds 260. In 5th it was Kimi Antonelli with 69 laps, 1 minute 34 seconds 158. In 4th was Lando Norris with 54 laps, 1 minute 34 seconds 052. In 3rd was Charles Leclerc with 70 laps, 1 minute 33 seconds 739. In 2nd was Oscar Piastri with 70 laps and that time was 1 minute 33 seconds 469. And then in 1st was George Russell with 76 laps, 1 minute 33 seconds 459. And George Russell was the one with the most laps, followed by Arvid Lindblad, just 1 lap down from him, and then Gabriel Bortoleto in 3rd with the most laps. And now on to day 2, where we had quite a few drivers who did not take part at all, and those were Carlos Sainz, Arvid Lindblad, Lance Stroll, Charles Leclerc, Pierre Gasly and Isaac Hadjar. So they did not register a lap time or an amount of laps, but so the lowest was in 16th position, and that was Valtteri Bottas with 58 laps and a time of 1 minute 40 seconds and 193. In 15th was Fernando Alonso with 68 laps, 1 minute 37 seconds 472. In 14th was Sergio Perez with 50 laps, 1 minute 35 seconds 369. 279. In 13th was Oliver Behrman with 69 laps, 1 minute 35 seconds 279. In 12th was Gabriel Bortoleto with 29 laps, 1 minute 35 seconds 263. In 11th was Alex Albon with 117 laps, and his time was 1 minute 34 seconds 555. In 10th was Liam Lawson with 106 laps, 1 minute 34 seconds 532. In 9th was Esteban Ocon with 58 laps and a time of 1 minute 34 seconds 201. In 8th was George Russell with 77 laps, 1 minute 34 seconds 111. In 7th was Nico Hülkenberg with 73 laps, 1 minute 33 seconds 987. In 6th was Franco Colapinto with 120 laps, 1 minute 33 seconds 818. In 5th was Lando Norris with 72 laps, 1 minute 33 seconds 453. In 4th was Lewis Hamilton with 78 laps and a time of 1 minute 33 seconds 408. In 3rd was Max Verstappen with 139 laps and a time of 1 minute 33 seconds 162. In 2nd was Oscar Piastri with a time of with laps of 86 and a lap time of 1 minute 32 seconds 861. And the fastest time was by Kimi Antonelli with 79 laps and a time of 1 minute 32 seconds 803. The most laps were made by Max Verstappen with 139, followed by Franco Colapinto with 120, and Alex Albon in 3rd with 117. So we had quite a big amount of laps done on the Thursday. On to the final day of testing, and the drivers who did not take part, so they did not register a lap time or a lap count, were Lewis Hamilton, Franco Colapinto, Liam Lawson, Alex Albon and Fernando Alonso. And there's one in-betweeny person who is Lance Stroll, who technically qualified 17th, but he only registered 6 laps and did not actually have a qualifying time set before Aston Martin decided not to take part in the rest of the day. So the next official person is Sergio Perez in 16th, and he did 61 laps and a time of 1 minute 40 seconds 842. In 15th, it was Nico Hülkenberg with 64 laps, 1 minute 36 seconds 019. In 14th was Valtteri Bottas with 38 laps and a time of 1 minute 35 seconds 290. In 13th was Isaac Hadjar with 59 laps and a time of 1 minute 34 seconds 511. In 12th was Esteban Ocon with 82 laps and a time of 1 minute 34 seconds 494. In 11th was Oscar Piastri with 66 laps and a time of 1 minute 34 seconds 352. In 10th was Carlos Sainz with 141 laps and a time of 1 minute 34 seconds 342. In 9th was Arvid Lindblad with 165 laps and a time of 1 minute 34 seconds 149. In 8th was Kimi Antonelli with 49 laps in a time of 1 minute 33 seconds 916. In 7th was Gabriel Bortoleto with 71 laps, 1 minute 33 seconds 755. In 6th was Oliver Behrman with 88 laps, a time of 1 minute 33 seconds 487. In 5th was Pierre Gasly with 118 laps and a time of 1 minute 33 seconds 421. In 4th was George Russell with a lap time of 1 minute 33 seconds and 197 and 82 laps. In 3rd was Max Verstappen with 65 laps and a time of 1 minute 33 seconds 109. In 2nd was Lando Norris with 47 laps and a time of 1 minute 32 seconds 871. And to top it all off was Charles Leclerc with 132 laps and a time of 1 minute 31 seconds 992. He had the fastest time of the entire 2 weeks of testing. The highest number of laps was Arvid Lindblad with 165 laps, followed by Carlos Sainz with 141, and then followed by Charles Leclerc, who had 132. So those are the results of all the individual drivers for the second week of testing. So now it's time to review the amount of laps each team did over the 2 week period. So we'll start with week 1 with Aston Martin being in 11th place with 206 laps. In 10th place was Mercedes with 282 laps. In 9th was Alpine with 318 laps. In 8th was Cadillac with 320. In 7th was Racing Bulls with 326. In 6th was Red Bull with 343. In 5th was Audi with 353. In 4th was Haas with 390. In 3rd was Ferrari with 420. And in 1st/2nd were Williams and McLaren because they had the exact same amount of laps, 422. So now on to the second week, where the team with the lowest amount was once again Aston Martin in 11th place with 128 laps, followed by Cadillac in 10th with 266. In 9th was Ferrari with 324. In 8th was Red Bull with 329. In 7th was Audi with 357. In 6th was Alpine with 359. In 5th was Williams with 368. In 4th was McLaren with 395. In 3rd was Haas with 404. In 2nd was Racing Bulls with 407. And in 1st was Mercedes. So how do they compare to each other when you add up the amounts together? So the team with the most laps overall was McLaren with 817, with Haas being 23 behind with 794. In 3rd was Williams with 790, just 4 behind Haas. In 4th was Ferrari with 744. They were 46 behind Williams. In 5th was Racing Bulls with 733. They were 11 behind Ferrari. In 6th was Mercedes with 714. They were 19 behind Racing Bulls. In 7th was Audi with 710. They were 4 behind Mercedes. In 8th was Alpine with 677. They were 33 behind Audi. In 9th was Red Bull with 672. They were 5 behind Alpine. In 10th was Cadillac with 586. They were 86 behind Red Bull. And in 11th was Aston Martin with 334. They were 252 laps behind Cadillac. So that is all of the laps that the teams did over the 2 weeks. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Formula Amateur. I hope you enjoyed this quick series on the testing, and don't forget that in 2 weeks' time the races begin. We'll be in Australia for the Melbourne Grand Prix, where I say I'll be commentating on it in the usual format by watching it at 4 o'clock in the morning. So get ready for that one, and don't forget to check out my lovely colleagues on the Be The Change Media Network. Please check out BeTheChangeMediaNetwork.com. I hope you have a lovely rest of your weekend, and I will see you next weekend where we'll be reviewing the Formula 2 grid for 2026. Goodbye.